What's up, y'all? Riley here, and today I've got a quick tip to help you to eliminate unwanted odors that might be in your books. So stay tuned. Alright, so I know that this is really different from the videos that I typically put out. If you're new to the channel, I usually do videos talking about comics or manga and doing reviews and analysis and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to make this video because I know there are people out there that have had this issue and might need assistance in taking care of this. And for me, I ran into this issue when I received some books in a trade, a collection of manga. When I got the box in, I was very excited to open it up and check these books out. And as soon as I opened that box, it was like an ashtray had just been flung into my face. There was such a strong tobacco smoke smell that I couldn't even bear to grab one of these books and put it close to my face, let alone imagine reading an entire book. So I wanted to figure out how I could get rid of this situation. And I'm sure if other people, buy secondhand like myself, you might find yourself in these similar situations. Whether it be something like what I had, where it's a tobacco smell, or maybe you're not a fan of the smell of an old library book and the book that you got was an old library copy, or maybe it's something else. I've heard people say stuff about their books smelling like mildew or other things like that. Whatever the case is, I found this technique that really helped to eliminate the smell. Now, the first thing that came to mind, I know the first thing that came to mind is I should probably reach out to this person and let them know, like, hey man, you sent me some smoky books. You should have disclosed that before we made our deal, our arrangement to trade books and stuff. But instead I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try and see if I can figure out myself and not have to go through the process of dealing with someone else and mailing books back and hoping that they do their part as well. Let me see if I can figure it out myself. So first thing that I thought about in trying to deal with this was that you need something that will neutralize the odor, right? You need something that will absorb the odor. And there are some household items that people use for these types of things. When I think about neutralizing odors, one of the first household items I think of is baking powder or baking soda, which people will use in their refrigerator to absorb smells. And it's something that I've seen other people use as well to absorb the smells off of other things. Another household item would be coffee grounds. Coffee grounds are very neutral, and a lot of people you'll see most popularly them used as a neutralizer when people are smelling perfumes at like a department store. They'll let you smell one perfume and then you smell the coffee grounds so that it gets rid of the odor and you neutralize your senses, and then you smell the next perfume and therefore, you can smell the entirety of that perfume without having the lingering sense of the previous one, and you just rinse and repeat as you go forward. But the one thing that I didn't like about either of those is that coffee grounds are grainy and the baking soda is powdery, and I didn't want to put my books into a grain or into a powder and then have to worry about when I'm done with that, I pull them out and there's a bunch of, there's another issue basically. I don't want to be reading and have powder coming out of the pages in case, it seeps in there. I also didn't have a container large enough to put baking soda in or to put, coffee grounds in and then also put all the books, because it was 8 volumes of manga that wound up having this issue. So I kept thinking and I landed on another household item that worked spectacularly. It was something that I always have on me, and many of you probably have it in your house as well. And that's dryer sheets. Now, dryer sheets, of course, are used to eliminate wrinkles and to get rid of static. You throw them in with your clothes when they're in the dryer, and it helps with that stuff. And it also, oftentimes these are scented. This is the Outdoor Fresh scent. So it adds a scent to your clothes. These also, as well as having a scent to them, are great at eliminating odors because they are able to absorb odors. So I took my box and I got a bunch of dryer sheets out of that box. Basically, I took 1 sheet per book, and the books were these 2-in-1 volumes of Tenjo Tenge. And I opened the book to a couple of spots. And I put one side of the sheet in one spot, and then I opened it to another spot and put the other half of the sheet, if I could get it to work, into the other spot. So then you have each sheet that I pulled would be stuck in the book twice. And each book would have at least one of these sheets in it. So then I took the book, and if you only have one book, then you can use if you don't have a plastic container or any sort of like vacuum seal type thing, you could do something as simple as a resealable bag, like the Ziploc brand bag, and just put the book in there, get as much air out of it as you can, try to have it as tightly sealed as possible, and seal that thing up. And what I did was I didn't have any sort of vacuum seal bag or a big enough container, so I took all the books and I put them in a trash bag, and I let all the air out and I tied it up as tight as possible, and then I double bagged it, put it into another trash bag, tied it up as tight as possible, and I let them sit. And so what I did was I let them sit for a few days, and then I ripped open the trash bags and took a whiff, and there was a noticeable difference. It was very noticeable, but there was still a little bit of that smoke smell. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to take them out yet. I'm going to reseal it, put it all back in there, tie the bag up, put it away, and come back in a few more days. So I came back in a few more days. I think it was about 7 to 10 days total. And I ripped into the bag and I pulled the book out and I flipped through every book and flipped through pages and smelled, to try and see if there was any odor remaining. And there was nothing. There was no smoke smell. They didn't even smell like the dryer sheets anymore. The dryer sheets had done their job and absorbed that smell and completely deodorized, neutralized the smell of my books. So this worked beautifully. It worked better than I could ever have imagined it to work, and I've had these books now on my shelves for years, and I've had no issues. They have no longer had any sort of scent to them. They smell just like brand new manga. Now, this technique worked really well for me, and this was with manga, and I'm hoping that this would also work well with other books, but I've never had to try it with a, Marvel or DC omnibus, so I don't know if the different types of paper are going to affect how easily smells are absorbed. So I can't say for sure how well it would work on something else like that, but I have a sneaking suspicion that it should work even on different types of books. But at the very least, if you have a manga that smells like smoke or anything else, this is the best strategy that I've found to eliminate those smells. So if you ever find yourself in one of these situations, when I hope that you don't, but if you ever do, try this out to get rid of those smells, and then you can read your books in peace without having to worry about whatever unwanted odor is in those books. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope that if you needed it, that this was helpful. Comment down below if this actually worked out for you. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, like I said, usually I make content about manga and comics, doing reviews, analysis, and all kinds of stuff. So if you're into that kind of thing, check out my other videos and maybe you'll want to give it a subscribe as well. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.